So we're going to call to order this meeting of the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Please make sure our audio recording has started. And our first order of business shall be roll call.
Gail Andrews. Anybody? Okay. That would be an unexcused absence for Gail. John Barbera.
Here.
Dick Christensen here. Larry Eaton, Craig Goldfarb, Cynthia Gagne, and Gwen Henry are all excused absences. Alonzo Jenkins.
Here.
April Jones.
Here.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Kane Nicholas.
Here.
Thomas Norman.
Here.
Ray Regalado is excused. Michael Signorelli.
Here.
Huh?
Did you say Signorelli?
Here.
Yeah, he said here. He's
Yeah.
over there. I didn't say
I said Ray was excused, and then I said Michael Signorelli.
And he said here.
Here,
And then
right.
he looked at me, and I got confused.
Because I thought you said something.
Oh, no.
No, I
Angela
did.
Sun. Sorry. Angela Sun.
Here.
Chris Valle.
I'm here.
Okay, now you say something.
Okay.
Okay,
We're
that
good.
is 11 present.
We
so-
have
Larry
quorum?
Eaton is what? Is he excused? Larry Eaton?
Yes.
And
All
what
right.
about Craig?
We're official. Alonzo, if you want, there's a free mic down there if you want to pull that down, just depending on how much you want to talk. Welcome, everybody.
Slide it down.
Our second order of... Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's see who's coming in.
Oh,
That's Diana. All right. Our second order of business would be general public comment on non-agenda items. And I have 3 cards here. I see Thomas Norman. Is it...
that's okay.
I appreciate it.
All right, Thomas Norman, just speaking as a stakeholder. Just wanted to inform the public that at Cal State Dominguez Hills, we have some exciting speakers coming up. Our State Treasurer of California on March 13th, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, will be speaking at Dominguez Hills in our new Innovation and Instruction Auditorium. So if you're interested in getting to know our state treasurer, she doesn't come around that often. That could be a good opportunity, but you've got to act quick because that's on Thursday. We also have, for any of you interested in CalPERS, our California Pension System, the CEO, Marcy Frost, is coming to visit our class on April 17th from 7 to 8 o'clock, again in my new building, the Innovation Instruction Building. So those interested in getting to interact with those folks that have a lot to do with our economy, please know you're very welcome to visit my campus. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Victor Christensen.
Also as a stakeholder. If you haven't already heard, there was at least one confirmed measles case at LAX at the Tom Bradley International Terminal B on February 19th. Somebody on Korean Airlines Flight 11. If you have not already confirmed whether or not you're vaccinated, now is a good time to do it. The people on the airplane have already been notified, but anybody who might have been in the area at that terminal from about 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on February 19th should verify whether they are vaccinated. And the gestation period is 7 to 21 days. So if you know anybody or you have not shown any symptoms and we're in that area, by tomorrow is the 21 days, then you should be fine.
Thank you. Oh, point of information. You said gestation. I think you meant incubation. Hopefully no gestation for the measles.
I hope that's comparable too. But anyway, if you don't show signs by tomorrow, then you're okay.
Hopefully so. All right. I see Michael Signorelli.
Good evening, everybody. Michael Signorelli, speaking as a stakeholder and speaking on behalf of the Peck Park Community Center. So spring is upon us. So upcoming on April 19th, we have our Spring Festival. So here on the campus of Peck Park, there'll be arts and crafts, face painting, games, and of course moon bounces for the little ones. and a surprise visit from our bunny. I might be the bunny. We don't know just yet. But so the Peck Park Spring Festival on April 19th from 12 to 2 p.m. here at Peck Park Community Center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael, could you email me with those details? I want to come up with a graphic or something for our Instagram just to promote it.
Yeah, of course, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Diane and Ave.
Thank you. Good evening. Diana Nave, I'm here to actually make an announcement from Feed and Be Fed. Feed and Be Fed has recently launched a produce box subscription service. If you're interested, you can subscribe to get a box of fresh, locally grown organic produce. You can do it for once a week. You can do it for once a month, whatever frequency you want. It's $15 for a box. It's $20 if you want it delivered, or $15 if you want to pick it up. There's a couple flyers that have the contact information. If you're interested, the produce will vary each week depending on what's ripe in the garden. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a follow-up? That's going to, the proceeds will help benefit that charity too? Are you pricing it in such a way that it's going to help support?
It helps support the programs that we've fed, the children's programs.
Great.
Very good. Thank you. Do we have any other general public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none. Let's move on to item 3. We are made an opportunity on the agenda for candidates in our, I guess I was going to say upcoming. It's actually happening as we speak. The election cycle for permanent board members for neighborhood council. And so if we have any candidates who'd like to give a statement at this time, please approach the podium.
And state your name for the record.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Barbera. Yes, John Stonnert. I know the last name sounds familiar, right? So I am running here for the Northwest. Right? And I'm really excited, honestly, and looking forward to it. And I'm honestly just excited to see what it all entails and to help out the community and make a difference. And however I can help, I'm open to it. So hopefully all the votes come in for me. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the board?
Oh, yeah.
I will ask one. So what attracted you to the neighborhood council in the first place, and what do you think, are there any offhand, any points of interest, things that you'd like to work on or things that you'd like to move forward?
I mean, some things that interest me was I feel like there needed to be some more just someone of more younger perspective maybe, right? And also some things that do interest me, obviously, we're hearing Lori throughout the years being, growing up as our neighbor. So from homelessness to youth and outreach. Because I really do believe in helping out the youth as much as possible as well as homeless. So those are two things that really stood out to me the most, at least.
I see Thomas and then Kelly.
Yep. Which committee are you most interested in, and which, if any, of the events that we do would you be wanting to participate in? And I can give you a list of events if you don't know, but you might know some of the events.
There's probably a lot of events I'm not sure with, and this is something I brought up to Ray. As you guys may or may not know, I do run that company called Jolie. So there's a lot of events that also coincide, so I'm not sure how that would exactly work. But Ray said we'll get to figure all that out if I get voted in. Because I love doing Jolie and being a part of the community that way, right? Hoping to open a shop here in the next 6 months, hopefully, and make it permanent. But if there's anything I am available for, by all means, I'm there.
Thank you.
Of course. And I didn't answer the committee one. I don't know all the committees yet. I don't. But for so far, youth and outreach seems to grab my attention just because of the youth.
Yep.
Well, I'm so glad to see you running because I love seeing you at all the different events. You've been active with our community and with our board and at different things, so it's been always nice to see you there. And of course, I love your goodies. Oh my gosh! But yeah, I look forward to see even if you don't get voted on the board yet this time, maybe or whatever.
That's right.
Please be active on the committees and stuff because we do need younger people's voices.
Yeah, I think it's a breath of fresh air to be, if I were to get elected, it'd be a breath of fresh air. I'm really stoked to have April on board because she's someone I've been familiar with through my father as well. So it's really cool to have her. She's really involved in the youth and the community, right? We all know her involvement. So I think that's a blessing that she's on as well. And
you got to take over for your dad.
Someone's got to take his spot. Let's be honest. I'm trying to scoot him out. Just kidding. He can have it.
I'm permanent.
We appreciate you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I've always gone to the events prior to Sween Jolie just to be supportive, trying to be a supportive daughter. So here I am. Anyone else?
I think that's it. Thanks very much.
My dad didn't have anything to say. Whew. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Christina Calandra, and I'm running for the Miralest Summerland area. And I am not a longtime resident of San Pedro. I am a new resident to San Pedro, but it's a small town in a large city, which I love. And one thing I think that sets me apart that a lot of my neighbors have noticed is that I am one of those people that is out in the neighborhood. I'm approachable, I'm caring, and I actually want to make my community, my tagline is kind of bringing community into our neighborhood. So a lot of my neighbors are used to just being in their house and nobody helps one another. And now I've gotten at least a couple of my blocks where we help the older citizens get their garbage cans out, pick the old oranges, stuff like that. But I miss community and working together. A few items that I'd like to work towards being here in this area. It might not be the most popular item, but I was really almost scared of all the fireworks that go off and the noise pollution that it causes and the environmental pollution. And now we've been scared by all the fires, and I live right by Peck Park on the other side. And we did have a fire that sparked up, not from the fireworks, but it was from something else. So anyhow, I'd like to see if there's anything I can do to advocate towards that, and anything that would be positive impact, like, goats in the canyons and milk them, and they could be for the community farm, or lots of out-of-the-box ideas. And then also, I too am huge on events, so I'm very into events. And to answer the other question, I'm very interested in the issues, so I like local issues.
Excellent, thanks. Do we have any questions from the board or from the audience? Thomas?
Well, I don't have to ask my questions because you already answered them, but just thank you for answering my questions in advance.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? There's got to be one question. Come on.
Well, I think you covered them.
Okay.
Okay, I have one.
Oh, yes.
How long have you been in San Pedro? Where'd you move from?
I moved here in 2021, so during the pandemic, and I just moved from Playa del Rey.
Okay.
So I'm used to being involved. So I was the HOA president of a 262-unit property, so actively involved. And I wanted to run a few years ago, but I was very new into the community. And so now my work is settled in and my house is redone. So now I only have to re-landscape, and I'm just ready to dive in, be part of the community. And I'm excited that it's garlic and Gaelic, or Gaelic and garlic. So I had a good time there last year. Yes.
One thing that I encourage you to do if you do not win is to still stay involved in the committees. That that is where a lot of the work gets done. So things that interest you, to attend committee meetings and join a committee and be part of it. And you kind of get your feet wet a little bit that way too, with how neighborhood councils run. And, you know, because there's 5 people running on your seat for one seat. And so there's going to be 4 people that don't win that seat. So I would love to see the 4 people that don't get a seat continue to be part of the council on the committee level.
Yes, and I'm not sure exactly how to be involved other than I attended my first meeting for the issues committee, and I'm hopefully going to be involved with that.
And that's really what you do. It's funny. I was talking to 2 people last month, and it sort of occurred to me that for people who are interested but don't get successfully elected, you can do about 90% of the same stuff. I mean, pretty much everything except vote on the motions, and then you don't actually have the requirement to show up either. So it's like you can attend the meetings, you can join a committee and be a full member of the committee, and still, if there's an item up for a discussion or action by the board, you can always get up and speak, before the vote. So you don't necessarily get to cast your personal vote, but we don't necessarily have a lot of people come in to comment on, our agenda items all the time. So for anybody within earshot, being present on the board is not a requirement to really participate almost completely fully. So
Great. And also advocating small business, because 6th and 7th Street, we got to get that going. It's too much fun.
Let's do it.
Any other questions? Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right. So we will move on to agenda item number 4. I believe Lori Jacobs is in Kauai.
Lucky her.
Yeah, so I think we will forego our homelessness liaison report and move on to item number 5, elected governmental and public safety representatives. I did see Officer Bologna, I see him in the back, and I see Octaviano. So if you guys want to, between yourselves, sort out who wants to get on the mic.
Yeah, Octaviano always says, let the tall guy.
Well, tonight is definitely moving a lot faster than last week.
Yeah,
or
we
last
love it.
time, excuse me. But no worries. Officer Bologna here for the representing the LAPD Northwest San Pedro Senior Lead Officer to go over some of the crime stats for February 2025. There was 12 aggravated assaults, 13 burglary for motor vehicles, 4 burglaries, 20 motor vehicle thefts, 2 rapes, 3 robberies, and 11 thefts, to a total of 65 total crimes. And then to go over in depth on some of them.
That's hard.
For the robberies, 1 was firearm related. For the aggravated assaults, 1 included a shots fired, so obviously someone shooting at somebody. 5 included a firearm. 2 were domestic related, and 8 out of the 12 involved strangers. In terms of the burglaries, so there was 4 total. 1 was homeless related, 2 residential, and 2 non-residential. And in terms of the GTAs, the Grand Theft Autos, in which someone steals your vehicle, again 20 total. It appears that most of them are occurring from vehicles that are parked in the street and at nighttime hours. The most busy days are the Monday and Tuesday nights. And the most taken vehicles is a Chevy and a Kia. So usually they're taking the older Chevy trucks or the Kia, newer Kia models. The burglary theft from vehicles, which is like when someone opens your car and takes belongings out of it. There's 13. 1 was a catalytic converter, and 11 were the unlocked and unsecure. So that's always a high number. So just a reminder, please lock and secure your vehicles because they look for easy opportunity. and it being unlocked is an easy opportunity. The thefts, we had 11 total. One was domestic related. And then recent events at Harbor Station, we had a town hall meeting with the councilman's office as well, and it was actually a really good meeting. We had lots of people there. It went over illegal street racing and takeovers. What we're trying to do, I don't know if people remember last year we had one town hall meeting with all the resources there. So this year our goal is to have a town hall meeting with only one of the resources so we can have more of a direct and more of a direct conversation with the entities that are involved instead of having like 30 people and one here and then everyone asking everybody questions. It's a little disorganized. So this one's a little bit better. I think it'll work out better. So our goal is to do that like maybe once every month or two. And then we have our CPAP on March 13th at Harbor Station at 6 p.m. If you'd like to attend, it's the Community Police Advisory Board. So if you have any issues that are related to crime or any other issues, we have other members of the city there. You guys are more than welcome to come on down and speak your piece. Any questions?
I had a couple just more or less out of curiosity.
Yes.
One was, to your knowledge, is there any sort of recurrent activity in terms of street racing, takeover type stuff in Northwest or even in San Pedro in general? Like I know that in a lot of places, let's say in South LA and other communities, it's a lot it's a regular thing. You can tell by the condition of the pavement. But does it happen like predictably around here, or is it just?
So I would say not predictably, just in the fact that it just depends on where they make their way, like usually down Western and into different jurisdictions. So that street race task force will basically follow them along. And what they went over in this meeting was actually pretty beneficial because it's more updated. It's been a few years. I've actually went on one of those task forces. But they're doing a different approach, more of a preventative rather than responding to. So it should be better in terms of getting it not having it happen. But the thing is sometimes it can happen in the community in which it just starts up and it just goes. And I think that's kind of what happened in that last one on Gaffian Channel. It was kind of a mixture of some people that showed up and then some people from the area as well. So it is a very unpredictable thing. But the cool thing is the task force, it's like a state entity with the city and county law enforcement. And then what they do is they can follow social media, et cetera, and then they'll be more preventative.
Thanks. And real quick, and kind of related to that, do you, LAPD, have access to any, I'm just thinking in terms of the narrative, the city's kind of data-driven. Do you have any access to like a heat map that kind of shows, like if I'm looking, burglary, theft from motor vehicle, whatever, that shows you what areas are like happening most frequently, and does that help you kind of direct your resources?
Yeah. So actually, what I do at my neighborhood watch, I send the same exact data I get from our crime analysis, and I send it to all of our neighborhood watches. And it has a map, and it shows with a legend like each crime that's kind of happening and kind of the rough area where it occurred. And they do have there's actually a new website we're going to be using. It's a Paradigm. I forgot the exact name, but it's very good so what it's doing is it's absorbing a lot of our stuff from our databases because a lot of our stuff is really, really old. And what they're doing is pulling all this stuff onto this one website that obviously you have to have the credentials to get on, but it allows us to look up pretty much anything and everything we want for that area, from like calls of service to the crimes that are occurring and so forth, and reports and contacts. It's in a perfect world that the system will work, right? Because it's based off a new system that we're also dealing with our record management system. Gotcha. And there has to be training to use it. So it's a very complicated system, but there is stuff that our crime analysis uses, which is this, that will basically have a map and stuff like that. So if you want that information, I don't mind adding you to the email list.
Thank you.
Two things. The street racing thing, in your packets, there is the presentation. There's a print of the presentation, and I'll have a few pointers of what the task force told me afterwards about what they're doing and how they're going about it. The other thing is, was our gentleman booked on top of ARCO?
So she's speaking about the individual that was on top of the roof at the Arco gas station on Gaffian Channel, and he had a pickaxe, it looked like. So officers responded. They waited a good amount of time because they have to follow, reverence for human life and de-escalation tactics, and they have to be very smart in how they handle the situation. But long story short, eventually he came down. Our mental evaluation unit took him into custody and provided him the assistance that he needs.
So he's getting help?
He's getting help, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because long story short, I ID'd him because he was at my house before he went to Arco. He was on the roof, before he went to the roof of Arco, he came to my home and tried to get in my house and left his ID at my front door. And so I was over at the car station. My husband called me. I went over there, got the ID from the front door, then went and ID'd him with the cops over at the Arco gas station, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're trying to figure out who he is, and you have his ID."
Yeah, it actually really helped our MEU unit because they're like, "What is his name?"
Yeah,
He's giving a different name, and then the ID just helped.
My house seems to be a little whirlpool of.
But I think it's a great example as to, there could be some people maybe saying there's an emergency occurring and stuff. Do your best to use your judgment, but if you don't have to open the door, don't open the door, or don't let them in because you don't know what state of mind that the person is in, and you don't want to become a victim either. So, I think Melanie did a great job.
Yeah.
Kelly?
I do have a question. What happened at
Microphone?
the school at Willenburg? What exactly
Which
happened?
school?
At Willenburg?
Okay.
Because my students came in, and I know that somebody it was a hit and run, and they got anything, but I don't know if anybody was hurt in the school or something. Our students heard their radio call and I work with children with autism, and they got really scared, and so they came and told me that, but I didn't know what exactly had happened.
I don't know, but I'll see because it sounds like a traffic investigation. So I'll ask around. I'll see what.
He had a firearm and held it on to the staff.
Oh, so
you know that.
Because you said hit and run.
Well, he supposedly left it hit and run. I mean, this is just what I heard from what you guys have found out.
Well, what happened? What I was told. Yolanda found out from some of the officers that they had a hit and run. There's a husband and wife. He hopped the fence, hurt himself as he hopped over the Willenburg. At gunpoint, he had some people, but he wasn't hurting them. Then the wife came over, and she was holding a gun to some of the office people. But by then, the cops came. They dropped all the gun, and they got them, and everybody we had. Nobody was hurt. Yeah.
Do you guys remember the date, possibly?
What was that date?
I can look it up.
Whenever you text us.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just get it with me on the side or an email or something like that, and I'll get that information.
Yeah, I just was, I didn't want to call. I'm friends with a lot of the staff there, but I didn't really want to call them and ask them because I think that they were going through some kind of traumatic.
Well, she talked to somebody over there. I think she talked to the head guy, the principal.
Okay. Yeah, just please email me, and I don't mind getting you back that information. Let me know if you need my email.
I can get it from John, I'm sure.
Okay.
John, you have it, right?
Or the number.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Diana?
I suspect you already answered this. The guy I come to Arco. My question was, all of the police officers that were on channel Sunday morning, that was the Arco.
I think that was a week ago, the Arco incident.
No, I saw them. They were right by Ray's house. I think it was Ray's next door neighbor house. There were a whole bunch of police on channel Sunday morning.
At a residence?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a different incident than on Sunday morning. So
What was that happened?
that I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff that happens every single day. But okay. Okay. Were they LAPD or different entities? Because I do have some knowledge, but I don't know if I could share that one. Okay. Okay. I'll find out, and I'll see what I can dig up.
The event at the school was the 28th. February 28th was the event at the school.
Okie dokie.
And Angela had a
I hope it's okay. I actually, since you're here, have a non-public safety related Harbor Department question. The vehicle chargers that are in your parking lot, are open to everyone?
The public, yes.
Okay, and when I was there one time and saw that they were full and went to leave, someone, I think who worked there, said if it's green, you can unplug it and use it. That's sort of like not cool in most public charging stations. You don't touch other people's cars, but
Yeah.
is that sort of the policy there, or
So there's no policy. It's a third party vendor that basically subcontracts that space or whatever, and they people charge their car. The thing is some people take it upon themselves to remove the charger from people's cars, but I would highly encourage, just when you know your vehicle is done charging, to remove it and put it back on the thing, because it is open to the public. It's a third party. You're supposed to go on an app and pay for the thing. So, but a lot of people from like the port, they use it and stuff like that. I had one guy, he unplugged my car, and I was like, this guy. So, you know.
But someone had said, like, if it's green, you can unplug it. I did it one time because.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want somebody touching my car.
That was why I asked.
Because this guy was like, it said it was. I was like, no, I literally just plugged it in, but I didn't want to get into it with him. I was
hope
like, okay.
it wasn't me. What?
No. I remember who it was. No, but
Thank you.
That's good to know. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Seems like it's been a while.
I'm glad you can make it.
Thank you. Thank you. So those that didn't get the message, I did. I was one of a few folks that volunteered at the West Side Disaster Recovery Center. So the mayor, with her authority, she declared an emergency, a disaster in the city of LA because of the fires. And just in case you didn't hear. And with that authority, she's able to activate city personnel to become disaster service workers. So I was probably one of 5, I think, in the department. We're rotating throughout the weeks to staff that center that probably had, I want to say, at least over 50 government personnel, both city, state, federal. There were some nonprofits, and every day was a different experience. I was assigned administratively mostly to receive and register fire victims, which was an experience, but an opportunity to provide some much needed empathy and customer service and guidance to what I realized was a lot of resources all in one place. I think we had at any given time about 40 agencies, mostly government agencies. Probably the biggest representation was FEMA there. So, and I share this because you may know of friends or family that might have been impacted, not just in Pacific Palisades, but in Eaton fire, directly or indirectly. And lacity.gov, when you go to that website, it'll take you to the first thing you'll see are resources for fire victims. So that's still ongoing. I know that center opens up from 9 to 7. When I was there, it would opened up from 9 to 8. And every day is different in terms of the administration of it and the response for it. So I was out for that. And I can't promise you I won't be out again, but we're very heavily supportive of that as a department and as a city. So if you have any questions about that, and in terms of our access to the department, let me know in our schedule. I don't have a big report today, but I do have a few updates administratively that are administrative in nature. Probably the biggest one that I wanted to share is the Roberts Rules Made Simple. And hopefully you're taking advantage of that resource. It's personalized training, resources online. We partner with a company that provides these trainings on how to administer and run your meetings following the Roberts Rules of Order. And not an easy topic for many because it requires a lot of brain power and details and performance, as you know, at your board meetings and your committee meetings if you're chairing. But the department does pay for that service, and we want to see 100% participation from our board members. And from what we gathered last week, the company manager is updating the website, and she is very vested in making sure that customer service excellence is met with our board members, because she knows that we're serious. We do share a lot of concerns along the way as they come up, so don't be shy about that. So hopefully these improvements will be something of a benefit when you check them out and explore them. So, and I'll send you a link to that. So that's and it's the official website is the Roberts Rules Made Simple, and the 7 fundamental motions is probably one of their core trainings. Zoom account. So we're not paying for it this year or next year, unfortunately, but we are reminding boards to set aside some time on their agenda to approve up to 200 per subscription by the end of March. I know Melanie and I have talked about that, and we've talked about the invoicing and all those challenges. So we'll
ours has been on our agenda, on our budget since June.
Has it? Okay, perfect.
This is why it's important to have a good treasurer.
Yes. Well, and so I'm definitely hand-holding a few other boards with regards to that. So thank you, Melanie, for being on top of that. And let's see. And I do have I recently received a question about not that you have to be too worried about it, but I know you want the option of online meetings. So legislatively in the state, I don't have an update as to the extension of allowing neighborhood councils to have virtual meetings. That's a question that I received that I'm going to follow up with our department as to what our role there is and if we have any updates with that. The Canva account, the good news is we are paying for it, at least for this election season. So you don't have to fork over any budget for that. But it's only for the remainder of the fiscal year. So if you didn't get an email on that, just a reminder. So all board members have access to it if you want it. If you're interested in navigating and you have an itch in creating your own flyers, take a look at it. And we did have a few events these past few weeks. The Empower LA Youth Conference, which was a huge success. We increased it from 50 to 100 youth participants, ages 14 to 17. The budget advocacy, we partnered up with budget advocates to hold a Budget 101 session and how neighborhood councils can take advantage of influencing the budget process and its development. That's a big deal right now, of course. And last but not least, we also partnered up with a nonprofit, the Salvadoran American Leadership and Education Fund, to provide an information session to our board members about immigrant rights and what's going on in terms of immigration enforcement, not just in our city, but across our country. And I think that's it. I'll send you the rest.
Millie?
I don't know if you're aware. I don't know if you get emails from the selections of the working group people for the funding thing. I got selected for that. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for stepping in on that. It's going to be very important.
So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out with devising, hopefully, a bigger budget for neighborhood councils as well as trying to work out some of the MPG stuff and event stuff to make it run a little smoother than it does.
Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, every time that comes around, I think about you. You're probably the only one to think about because you're so involved and so smart about it and thorough. So I appreciate that. But it's open to all board members that are interested. But treasurers tend to have that honed skill of being very thoughtful and critical of the processes that they have and their policies. So thank you for stepping up to that. And a lot of people think that we're the ones that have the jurisdiction for increasing the budget for the department or the neighborhood council. We don't, unfortunately. So the city clerk's office, again, they have.
Yeah, and they've got some kinks they need to work out. And I pretty much said that when I turned in the request to be part of the group, my application. I said that. So I was like, when Shauna wrote me and said, we've selected you, I'm going, oh, okay.
Oh, you never got the notification either?
Huh?
You never got the
Oh, no, I got the notification,
Oh, okay.
and then she said, I'm glad to have you on the team, because Shauna and I got along really well.
Yeah.
And so I think that helps.
So she's leading it, Shauna?
She's leading it.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Yeah, she was awesome when she was
So
looking at her.
I'm excited.
Great.
Octaviano, I know your name. Just a question. I think I already know the answer, but your being here reminded me because I wanted to bring it up for the board. Do you have to be a seated board member to attend the Congress of Neighborhoods?
You don't. No. We encourage all board members, committee members, stakeholders to attend the Congress of Neighborhoods. Yeah.
Thank you. Which brings me to, just so I get out of the way, don't forget it again. Full disclosure, I'm a city contractor and I'll be working the event, not attending as the board member. But the Congress of Neighborhoods is Saturday, September 27th this year at LA City Hall. As Octaviano has just clarified, you do not have to be a seated board member to attend. And basically what this is a gathering of affiliated people from and around neighborhood councils all over the city. They get together for an entire day at City Hall, and there are seminars and workshops and breakouts. It's a great opportunity to network, to see how other neighborhood councils do their business. And you get to, there's a keynote speech usually by a prominent city official. So I would recommend our new board members, anyone who's running, considering running, to attend. It's an all-day thing. They give you breakfast and lunch, and you will learn a lot. And I will probably take your picture if you go.
You're the official photographer, right?
Yes. Vic?
On the virtual meeting issue, the two bills I know about are Assembly Bill 467 and Senate Bill 707. One of those is essentially, I've only briefly looked at them and compared them with previous ones, but one of them is essentially the same as SB 411 that we're under now, where it just, you can go virtual and stuff like that. It's a very short one. The other one is longer and is more like, I don't remember what the number is from the previous ones, but there was one or more that had a bunch of restrictions on, like, you can only use it twice a year and you have to justify it each time and stuff like that. Briefly reading the two new ones, it looks like one is pretty much like what we're doing now, and the other is the one with all the restrictions. There may be others involved too, but those are two I know about.
Great. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I'll keep you all posted. I think the expiration for what we have is 2026. So I didn't mean to alarm you all. Right?
The current one sunsets at the end of this year.
Oh, is it this year? Oh, okay.
Well,
fiscally.
January of 26.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, so it is around the corner. Yeah.
So
Right.
end of this calendar year. And then these other two, I think one of them goes to 30 and one goes to 31. And I think it's like January 1st of each of those, but I can't remember which is which right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
So essentially 5 years.
All right. Do we have it? Oh, Alonso?
For the Congress of Neighborhood Councils, do I have to RSVP if I want to attend?
You don't have to. You can just show up, but we recommend that you do in order for the event organizers to know how much food to order. And they do run out, so that's very important. If you're going to be there all day, you're going to want to have.
Yeah, it's good to register. They will give you parking in City Hall
Right.
East. It makes the whole experience much easier if you do it beforehand. And reminded me something else I wanted to. Oh, that it is still in the planning phases. Obviously, it's not happening until September. So, if you wanted to participate on the planning committee, I believe there's still time. And if you did want to be on the committee, you can still, like, if you had a suggestion or a question about it, you can. I think you probably go through. Done, but to find the planning committee, you can ask them questions or give input now that may help shape the event later on this year.
And I'll send a link to the Congress of Neighborhoods website too. So some of the workshops are more popular than others, and they want to get an advanced kind of head count in order to accommodate some of those larger groups, because City Hall has different size meeting rooms, and so they'll move around folks or the workshops depending on how many people RSVP'd ahead of time. So it would be helpful for that.
One more question. How would I be able to RSVP?
So I don't think the registration link is open just yet. So as we get closer, probably August, maybe July, but definitely September.
Yeah, and we'll have we'll make more of a concerted effort as to sort of recruit people and publicize it. So they'll certainly come up in youth.
You'll get a board email too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll bring it up in committee as well because we're going to do a little bit more to promote it this year.
And this is
And
at
you'll see it
City
in
Hall,
email.
right?
Yeah, City Hall all day on a Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
All right, we have any other questions, comments, concerns for Octaviano? Hearing none. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Have a good. I'll be here for the rest of the night, so have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. I see that we have two city firefighters here. Did you, either of you gentlemen, have a hi? Are you just swinging by, or did you have a business? Oh, sure. Did you have a comments or report or anything?
Unless there's any questions, they just want us to make a presence here.
Okay, no, very appreciated. Yeah. So this is the part of our agenda where we have first responders. So if anybody has any questions for LAFD, this is the time to present those.
Can we say thank you? Thank you.
Introduce ourselves at least. So
Sure. Coming up to the mic, please.
to the mic. Good evening. So my name is Joe Steiner. I'm fire captain at Fire Station 36, which is down on Gaffey, and that's firefighter Kelly Tomlin. We're first of all, we're a little late. We got a call right before, of course. They say, "Oh, be there at 6." So we got a call a patient down at LAPD Harbor Division, and we took care of that and came over. Again, like I said, our battalion chief, Battalion 6, asked us to come in his place. He's also working overtime. He's a special duty, so he's not assigned there. So he figured it'd be better for us to be here and listen to it than that. So, but if anybody has any questions, it's good to be here. I've been to a few of these in the Hollywood area. The neighborhood council had a big presence up there in Hollywood when I worked up there. But this is my first time here, so.
Cool.
But if there's any questions that I can answer, I'll try to. But if not, go ahead.
Just want to say your presence is greatly appreciated by everybody.
Oh, thank
Just
you.
showing up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think the last 6 weeks or so, a lot of people have learned a lot about the difference between civilization and not, like exactly what services we have and how much help that actually, provides to our regular lives. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
We do appreciate it.
Yeah, I actually run the neighborhood watch over by Gaffey, by the fire station and all that, by Target and all.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing that I've been reminding a lot of the residents that live over there in the neighborhood watch is I was coming home from my mom that lives in central San Pedro. And people were not stopping or getting out of the way of the ambulance that was trying to come through to go into our neighborhood to go help somebody. And I'm like, I can't believe this. This ambulance was struggling to get through. And so I went on our neighborhood watch and said, you need to stop for that ambulance, and get out of the way when it's coming. It could be your family or one of your loved ones that's trying to have the ambulance come to them.
Right.
It's crazy. People just don't get that you have to stop
Yeah.
and get out of the way.
In the last few years, we've seen it go from the full pull to the right to a lot of people just stop exactly where they're at.
Which is worse.
I don't know if that's being taught because I got my license a little while ago.
You're
But
supposed to go to the right or the left and get out of the way.
But we're good either way. Sometimes traffic's just traffic and there's not much you can do. But whether they pull the right or just stop in the road right where they're at, that our driver can work with either of those two. It's when they don't get out of the way at all, like you said, that's when it becomes an issue. But so far we've been pretty safe about getting out of the way of the drivers and not scaring them too bad. But yeah, that's it for us on our side. We're coming off of the fires in the Palisades and trying to get back to normal. And then we our interim fire chief, Villanueva's getting in his seat. And I expect an easy transition since he was on the job for so long. So.
Thanks. One other question that her comment about the yielding. we're in the kind of the committee's in the kind of the concept phase of maybe a series, maybe one public service announcement, kind of about traffic safety, kind of a general thing, and a lot of it's based on observations just in and around San Pedro. But do you know of, or I'm assuming there is somewhere, and they may be busy right now, but like a public information officer, what we're basically thinking about is soliciting comments, maybe soundbite, just a few seconds on camera, maybe explaining that principle essentially about basically having somebody in uniform as a firefighter saying, move over,
Right.
So do you know offhand where I might start to ask for that kind of participation?
That's obviously way above my level. But if I get your card, I can look into it and find out the number to get to our PIO, and they'll run some paperwork up the chain. But yeah, that's above us. But I can find out for you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions from our attendees in the audience? We're good?
All right. Thank you.
Thanks very much, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
All right. We are at agenda item 6, our consent calendar. These items are presented to be approved as one in one motion. If anyone on the board would like to have any of the items removed for separate consideration, now is the time to suggest that. All right, and so our item 6A would be to approve our February board and stakeholder minutes from last month's meeting. Item B would be, I'm sorry? Item B would be to appoint April Jones to the Youth and Outreach Committee pending her acquiescence, and to appoint Garrett Tyack to Planning, Land Use, and Port Committee under the similar terms. So does anyone need an item to be, and I'm sorry, let the record show, okay, yeah, Gail's here.
If I may, I am sorry for being late. I was stuck in traffic.
It happens.
And I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. All right.
Garrett, may I ask who Garrett Tyack is?
He's one of the ones running for the mayor license.
Okay. Is he here?
Garrett, are you here? I do not believe that he is.
Did you ask if Garrett was?
Yeah.
He's ready before it, but he also expressed his come to 3 of our meetings of our planning committee. He has an expertise in affordable housing and an interest in affordable housing.
It's my kind of guy. All right, so then can we take roll, please, on item 6?
Okay, just for the record, what Chris was starting to say is Gail Andrews arrived at 6:52 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay, on the consent calendar vote, Gail Andrews.
Yeah.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
April Jones.
Yes.
Melanie O'Brett.
Yes.
Kaylee Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Fahey.
Yes.
Okay, that's 12 of 12.
Awesome. All right. Motion's accepted. We're speaking of motions. We get to party time here. Budget and finance motions.
Okay.
Melanie, take it away.
So the first one is the MER, and that is on page.
And for those of us who are new, the MER is basically an explanation of what we spent last month.
Yeah, it's our expense report it's always trailing the month behind. So it's always the month that we've already done. So like this is for February, the expense report. So it says we have net available $21,425.56. What we spent was down at the bottom here on Rouse, Big Nick, Sun Production for our 2 audio invoices. So this is out of committee. Any discussion? So call for the vote. Our new board members have not taken their finance training, so you cannot vote at this time. Thomas?
Yes.
John Barbera?
Yes.
Vic Christensen?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Angela.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
And Michael.
Yes.
Okay, next is the budget. The budget is on page 13. And as you see, 21,425.56. Unallocated, there are $6,875.83. That was, in effect, added bigger because I moved all of the election funds and the newspaper leftover funds over into that. So, this is out of committee. Any discussion?
Does this change how much rolls over at the like if we don't
If we don't spend it, we can roll over up to $10,000.
Oh, okay, so we're good. Thank you.
So, ready?
Question.
Huh?
I have a question.
Huh?
The question is about election 2021 expenditures.
Oh, that's a typo. Thank you so much.
Wow, somebody's paying attention.
Election 2025.
Wow.
That should have been a 5 instead of a 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have to do it all over again. No.
Yikes. Anyway, call for the vote. Thomas Norman.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen.
Aye.
Melanie LeBrecq, yes. Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Vallier.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Okay. Then the last thing we have here is on page 14. So, since there was some miscommunication here, and we really didn't do a big push on the grants, in order to get a little bit more, I guess, outreach on this and to get more time for people to get their applications in and do a bigger push to get this out, we changed the dates. So now application deadline is going to be no later than the 10th for it to be postmarked of April. And April 14th will be the last day they can email it to me. The grants will be at the board meeting. Huh?
The second date again for email?
The email is the 14th, 2025 of April. The mail postmark date is April 10th, 2025. And they'll be awarded at the board meeting on May 12th
Not postmark date, receive date.
or receive date, yes, sorry.
Receive date is which?
In the mail by April 10th.
No, not in the mail. Received to them by the 10th, right?
Received here by the 10th in
If,
our mailbox.
if being mailed through the USPS,
USPS.
then it must arrive by April 10th.
Okay.
And then at the budget and finance meeting, we'll go over all of the MPGs that have on April 7th here at Peck Park. We'll go over all the applicants and sort through them and then bring them to the board on March 12th, 2025 for recommendations.
Wait, those dates don't. You're going to
Huh?
go over them on April 7th?
Microphone, please.
April 10th, they have to be received by USPS.
But when did you say you're reviewing the application?
We're reviewing them on May 7th.
Oh, May 7th. Okay.
And May 12th, we will bring them to the board, the recommendations, and award the MPGs that night.
Got it. Thank you.
Are they being reviewed the 7th? Is that the budget meeting?
Budget meeting, yes. Okay, so this is out of committee. And so call for the vote. Thomas?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Vic?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay. All done.
Very good. Thank you. Agenda item 7B would be motions put forth from the Planning, Land Use, and Port Committee.
All right, thank you. I want to first start out. This will apply to all all the first four items, or first three items. There was not a quorum, so it's a little misleading. I shouldn't say out of committee, so I'll be moving each of these and looking for a second, and then if we have a second, we'll take turns, the co-chair and I'll introducing each of those. So for number one, approving letters to the Port of Los Angeles and Caltrans, requesting they expedite the permit process for port access to the Caltrans lot on Channel Street. I'd like to move that. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Got the
Second by Kelly Miller.
Okay, so that's one I'm going to do. This group, some of this group were probably very aware of the project that we worked on, was it about 20 years ago, underneath the freeway. And one of the things that we were hopeful for was that while the first phase of this project, connecting the area from Westmont to Gatun, was completed 15 years ago, we've been waiting pretty patiently, I'd say 2 decades, for the completion of the remainder of the project. In fact, Caltrans has taken so long their permit has expired. We were notified today by Augie from the port that maybe this isn't an issue, but there's a possibility we won't send such a letter if it's truly not needed. But we're not 100% clear that such a letter won't be helpful, and I think the attention that committee members have been paying attention to this has helped. If you look in the packet, you see we're copying Assembly members Murasuchi, Gibson, and our new state senator Laura Richardson, just really expressing great disappointment and asking Caltrans to make sure that they remedy the fact that this project has not been completed and that the permit needs to be extended. So, any further discussion? Any questions, community or stakeholders?
Soroka is spelled Seroka. Other than that, none.
No.
Is it SER? I have a question.
Thank you.
Oh, a question from April?
Yep.
How will that affect the port project through there? Like, is that going to halt the process, or?
It's to try to expedite the process.
Yeah, this is only going to help the port.
Okay. I'm not sure how it works, so.
The port can't do it until they get the permit from Caltrans.
But since it's expired.
So they need a new permit or an extension of the existing one.
Yeah, and that's what the letter's asking for, is that be expedited. Thank you.
All right, we're ready to call for the vote.
Okay, Gail Andrews.
Yay.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Doug Christensen, aye. Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
April Jones.
Yes.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kay Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Vai.
Yes.
Okay, 12 out of 12.
Nice.
Motion carried.
Thank you all. All right, next I'll introduce item 2, or under 7B2, approve community impact statement, CIS, in support of Los Angeles City Council file 24-1314 on the Phillips 66 refinery closure / worker transition plan / site remediation / reuse. So I'd like to introduce that. If there's a second, we'd like to speak to it.
Second.
Okay, at the second, co-chair Diana Nave is going to introduce that one.
Okay, this council file is a motion that was introduced by Councilman McOsker, asking that the city prepare a plan to assist the workers who were affected by Phillips 66 refinery closure, which I think they're working on.
Yeah.
But it also requested that the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration, with assistance from the city's Bureau of Sanitation Brownfields program and Phillips, present the next steps regarding remediation and reuse, and to ask that same office, along with the planning department and the port, to include on this an analysis on the Rancho LPG tanks in the same report. That was an amendment that the councilman introduced. So our community impact statement, which is on page 17, simply supports this motion of the councilman's.
Okay.
Questions?
No.
Nope. Ready to vote?
Okay, Gail Andrews.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Doug Christensen, aye. Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
April Jones.
Yes.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kay Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Feige.
Yes.
12 out of 12 again.
Thank you. Beyond that, Phillips has asked for our input into what we would like to see on the 75 acres that are along Anaheim. They came to our joint planning committee. We had a really good meeting. There are a number of ideas that we came up with. You could see them in our report that's in your packet. But, we'd like to hear if there are other ideas that you have. We would sure like to hear them so that as a planning committee we can take all of that into consideration. They will also be seeking community input at the first Thursday in May. This is a suggestion of ours. Rather than us do it, we asked them to do it. That will be in front of Sirens on the first Thursday. And then they'll be coming back to our joint committee to update us at what will be a special meeting on Wednesday, May 7th. They are planning for the interior of the property to all be industrial uses. They really hadn't asked for our input on that, but we told them that we may very well want to have some input on the industrial uses as well. Melanie.
Yeah, just so you know, they're coming to public safety also. So they did that same presentation at Public Safety Committee meeting too, and we gave our input too at the public safety meeting.
Well, yeah, we'd like to have that so we can combine it with the planning and land use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it in your notes, Melanie? Is it in the packet?
What?
Is it?
It's in my minutes.
It's in your minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Kelly?
I have a quick question. I really think that giving our input and stuff needs to be waited. We need to wait until we get the environmental report.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch everything you said.
I think we need to wait and giving input on what we want there until we have the environmental reports on what's the way the water and the different things. That's a company that's been there for 106 years. I'm sorry, I don't want a restaurant there if there's some environmental issues. So I think that all this, we could. I felt like we were being patronized by having them say, "Oh, we should." What do you want to hear? I want to know what's environmentally sound there first.
The way the environmental report works is it responds to the proposed uses.
So you have to give them an idea of what you want
The amount of environmental work that has to be done depends on what the proposed uses are. And when they come out with the notice of preparation, they have to have a project that they're describing. So that means and they're doing it as a specific plan so that they have more flexibility, but still the general uses need to be described ahead of time. That's the timeline we're working against. They're hoping to start the environmental process in like September or October. That means they have to pretty well decide what kinds of uses they want on that property before then.
Yeah, Kelly, if you remember what Heinrich was saying, he said that there's certain parts of the land that are going to be very usable, like the side where Harbor Regional Park is, and also the front part of the land. They can put retail there and all that because the environmental impact there is like nil. It's not bad at all. The question is where all of the tanks are and all of that. He says those will probably never be able to be much more than industrial type use.
Right.
And that's what he said at the meeting.
Yeah. That's what I was explaining a minute ago. Was there another?
Just real quickly, is there any example of where this has been done before with successful reuse of the property, or is this really unique?
Probably not.
Go ahead, Pat.
Well, all of Willington Waterfront Park was industrial land with creek sublands in there, all sorts of things, north of 45 acres along Berry Beaches Boulevard. That was acquired by the port and converted to the park.
Well, another example would be Harbor Highlands, right down by the park. That all was also very heavy industrial with tanks on it, and got the tanks removed. They cleaned it up to meet the standards necessary for housing and build housing on it.
And good question, Kelly. Also, the first house that I bought was on reclaimed area in Carson, and there are 8 oil wells underneath the parking lot I park in every day, which costs $1 million to cap if we want to put something new there. And then there's the carousel track, which they did make reference to in our conversation. So that's why your question is really important to understand and make sure we have a good environmental report. So, we really want the community asking these tough questions that we look at that, because that definitely is going to impact, right? If you're just there for a little bit versus living there, we would, and I think they would hate very much too to have the allegations of cancer and such that were caused by development.
And some uses to get suggestions just may not be practical, or they may not be able to meet the environmental requirements for them. But like putting a school there, they could probably never do, for example, because it's like the requirements are different for different uses. Okay, next one I think you have, Thomas.
All right, I'll go to number 3, which is a brief letter on a community impact statement for Council File 25-0064 regarding Measure M funding applications. And this one's short, so I'm just going to read it, that our Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council fully supports this council file, which will provide more transparency and coordination in applications for Measure M funding for infrastructure and transportation system improvements. The harbor area where we live bears a disproportionate share of commercial truck traffic, which causes significant congestion and damage to our roadways, as well as pollution. Part of our area ranks in the 99th percentile on the Cal Enviro screen for pollution, like on the bad side of that. So in the packet on 18, the thing to look at that we're supporting, Councilmember McCosker presented this motion here. And so we're just asking for our group to support the work of our council member and encourage the council to go forward on this.
I second.
Oh, sorry, I spoke without. Thank you for seconding. A little out of order there. Thank you for your permissiveness. Any discussion?
This is, I think it's really, really important. The redecking of the bridge, the development of the quote-unquote LA waterfront, just general, traffic issues. One of the first issues that I remember being taken up when I first sat on this board almost 10 years ago was about our lack of inclusion, our basically being excluded from Measure M funding, where the rest of the county got something, and in some cases they got quite a lot. And here we are, the kind of we were left out kind of in the breeze. And for an area that is so economically vital to the entire country, you'd think that we could do some some solutions that wouldn't see harbor get frozen every time a ship comes in, or have the 110 backup to Channel Street or whatever if there's an event. And so I think that continuing to hammer on this, despite what we may have been told in the past, is always something that Northwest and the other harbor area neighborhood councils should be on, because it really is going to affect quality of life going forward.
Thank you.
We call the vote.
Gail Anders.
Yay. Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
April Jones.
Yes.
You said yes.
Oh, I thought.
Are you Alonzo? You've changed.
I said yes. I said yes.
Yeah, I heard. April Jones.
Yes.
Melanie O'Brien.
Yes.
Okay, that's you. Kaylee Miller.
Yes.
Kay Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner. Chris Valle.
Yes.
That is 12 out of 12.
Good deal.
Okay, the next two, the last two, both came out of our joint committee meeting, and Northwest had a quorum at that, so we don't need a second on these. The first one is the CIS for Council number 25002S2, and rather it's the state density bonus law, evacuation routes, high fire severity zones, and safe passages. The CIS is on page 19 of your packet, and rather than including a copy of the council file motion in the packet, I just put a link to it so we could save a little bit of our paper. This particular motion and the next one both relate to the recent fires and current state legislative mandates. And this one asks the city to include in its state legislative program support for and or sponsorship of any legislation that would result in amendments to the state density bonus law to ensure that evacuation routes within high fire zones are not overwhelmed by dense development that impedes safe passages. That was a problem in the Palisades fire, and that's part of what resulted in this. This motion is consistent with concerns that we've expressed in other documents relating to the difficulties in evacuating San Pedro in an emergency. But it also has a request for an amendment. The amendment that we're requesting would be that it also include consideration of other natural disasters such as floods, tsunamis, and earthquakes. Questions about this one? I think it's pretty straightforward. Seeing none, you want to?
Yeah, let's call a vote.
Katie Landers.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
The Christensen, I. Jolanda Jenkins.
Yes.
April Jones.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Fahey.
Yes.
12 out of 12.
Thank you. The last one is on page 20 of your packet. And this is a motion on the housing element relief, asking for relief from the builder's remedy. This one gets a little bit technical. It actually is not in support of any council file. It's actually asking that there be one created. It came out of the meeting of all of the neighborhood council planning representatives across the city. And it asks our council member to introduce a motion that would ask the city to include in its legislative program support or sponsorship of any legislation that would result in an amendment, again, to the state density law and the housing accountability measures to suspend the application of the builder's remedy in the current housing cycle for those cities and municipalities in LA that already have adopted approved housing elements. You may recall discussions we've had about the RENA process that required the city to identify sufficient parcels for approximately 450,000 additional housing units over the next 8 years, of which 40% must be for low and very low income housings. The city submitted their plan to the state, and I believe it has been approved. So I think we have an approved housing element. The concern is jurisdictions that didn't have satisfactory plans are subject to the builder's remedy, and there is concerns that if we're not meeting our goals, we might also be subject to that. The builder's remedy, I've talked about before, but what it is that under certain circumstances, where there's a certain percent of affordable housing, a developer can come in, they could come in your neighborhood and right next to your single-family house on a zone, the zone for single-family, they could put up basically as many units as they wanted. There's that's a little simplification, but that's what the builder's remedy is. It's a punishment for areas that don't have approved plans and areas that aren't meeting their goals. So because of the fires that are going to affect how much additional housing gets built, because we're going to be building replacement housing in Los Angeles rather than additional housing, we're asking for the state for relief from that for this cycle of 8 years. And that's what this motion does.
It says is the builder's remedy, how old is that?
How old is what?
The builder's remedy, has that been something in place? Like,
It's quite recent. It's only really started within the last couple of years. So
okay, I think I remember us talking about it kind of when it kicked in. I wasn't sure that's what the name
was.
Yeah,
I talked about it a couple months ago, I think, as part of why it was we had to approve some kind of a plan so that we wouldn't be subject to the builder's remedy.
Right. And it felt, if I remember correctly, there was some conversation about how it had sort of created this blunt instrument where for some, let's say a municipality was willfully kind of non-compliant or uncooperative.
That's the main intent of it.
But then the sort of unintended consequences was that if you somehow, technicality or otherwise, fell afoul of it, you could actually have the same problem.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That's the concern.
Very good.
Any other questions?
No. Let's call the vote, please.
This is a letter, right, Diana? This is a letter.
This is a motion that would.
It's not a council file.
It would go to the councilman.
Huh?
It's a motion that would go to our councilman. Yes.
Yeah, but it's not a council file for CIS, right?
Right. It's a letter
It's
encouraging.
a resolution. There'd be a cover letter with it saying that we would pass this at the meeting.
Gail Andrews.
Yes.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, I. Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
April Jones.
Yes.
Melanie Albrecht.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
12 out of 12.
Very good. And before we move on to
Thank you.
Before we move on to agenda item A, I just want to, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I want to thank Pat and Diana for the work that they do personally and through extension through this committee. We would blow our entire yearly budget if we had to hire people to do what they do for free. It's just really outstanding stuff.
Thank you.
And now moving on to, let's see.
Could I just a little point of personal privilege for those that may not get elected and want to see how much you can do in a committee as well? What great exemplars. So
Yeah,
I just
that's
wanted
very much so.
to build on that because we don't want to work them this hard forever. They like to travel, so we can use more help.
It's big shoes to fill, but any small part of that you can learn and take on is kind of what keeps us on the map. Item 7C out of Executive Committee, I'm going to let Melanie handle this one because she remembers all the details better than I do, but it's about the direction of our membership. Melanie?
Is that Tamiano here?
Mel?
Okay. And I apologize. The back of the letter, the motion, is very hard to read for this letter.
Which page?
Huh?
Which page?
It's going to be page 21, but the motion is on 22. It's very hard to read. But in a nutshell, this motion basically, it's City Council wants to basically change all of our bylaws and make it so that we have term limits on our board. And have all the seats become, a lot of them, youth seats, which is kind of dumb because youth can't vote on financial items until they're 18. And there's a lot of things that the youth can't do. There are some neighborhood council boundary areas that don't even have high schools in their area to have youth serve on their board. The charter was set up when they set up all the neighborhood councils, that each board, they had structured bylaws that were like framework, and each board, based on their needs for their stakeholdership and their board, developed how many seats they would have, as well as what their board bylaws would look like. And it's customized to each board. And they gave that anonymity to each board to do that. So this council file is just like way out of their lane. They're operating out of their lane that they have no business writing down in it. So this is basically a council file motion, CIS, stating, we, the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council, declare that on March 10, 2025, a Brown Act notice public meeting was held in the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council with a current quorum of 9 board members present on that day of vote. Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council hereby requests the City of Los Angeles to oppose the motion CF 24-0867. Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council strongly opposes the proposed changes to neighborhood council bylaws as outlined in Council File 240867. We believe that the suggested amendments would be detrimental to the effectiveness and stability of neighborhood councils. Term limits risk losing experienced members with institutional knowledge and experience. Many boards have problems filling board seats. This would reduce the pool of potential board members and could lead to boards not reflecting the demographics of stakeholders. This could have an opposite effect on stakeholder participation, especially those that have low number participation already. The Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council has had a youth seat for over 20 years and actively involved in representing our youth population. There are maybe some councils who have boundaries that don't have high school age youth within them. It should not be assumed that a one-size-fits-all approach is feasible for all 99 neighborhood councils. We urge the city to reject the proposed bylaw changes and work with the neighborhood councils to address our real needs and challenges. Los Angeles City Charter establishes us as independent neighborhood councils, and it's improper for the city council to dictate decisions that should only come from the neighborhood councils and their individual bylaws. Yours very truly.
Well, for one, I don't believe in coincidence anymore. I've seen, not only in the city, but certainly across the country, a pretty brazen attempt to sort of shake things up, reverse repeal civil liberties to kind of rein in people that you see as being too disagreeable and too effective in their disagreement with you. And I don't really know what the motivation behind something like this is, but as has been very well outlined in the letter, you can tell exactly what the effects would be. If you were to categorically remove people who've served more than 2 terms or whatever the terms would be, I would disappear instantly. And again, if someone were waiting over here to take my spot, I've said in the past many times, if I lose my seat in a fair, election or whatever, I'd be very happy to let somebody come in and do what I'm doing. But that's not been our problem, where we have a bunch of people stacked up in the hallway waiting to get in there. Normally it's we have to drag people in and call our friends and sell this thing to them. And that includes the youth seat. We've been very, very lucky to have some really talented and motivated and really, generous young people who literally have other things to do with their time, and still they come hang out with us and talk about this stuff. And so
Thomas Norman ran out of kids.
Yeah, this man has given us almost literally his entire family to do this. And that's not something that you just I don't really know what happens at the other 98 neighborhood councils, but I know that they don't all work like this. And I think that, as has been written here, just arbitrarily kind of terming people out as those who are a city council seat, I think it speaks to a kind of an ignorance as to what happens here. I wonder if they think we're being too effective and they want to kind of rein us in. I don't feel like we're throwing our weight around all that much. If we're annoying people, at least if Northwest is annoying people in doing what we're doing, and I think we're doing it properly, and the fact that they want to take away our ability to do I don't feel like we've, really messed with anybody here. I think we've done well by our community. And if they want to rein that back in, obviously I think we should push in the opposite direction. It's a weird thing for them to suggest, but that's democracy for you. I think we should.
Yeah, and the thing is, seasoned people that have got experience, we welcome. Our neighborhood council does, and so does other neighborhood councils, welcome new people on the board in a fair election, but it helps to have people that have been here, done that already, to train those people to be leadership people to the new coming in, to teach them how to do things, how to govern, how the policies and everything, how to guide them. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Thomas?
Yeah, I want to speak. I want to thank the executive committee for creating a wonderful resolution. I want to speak strongly in favor of it. Both elements are entirely misguided by the city council. The way I feel we are treated as volunteers is really, really disrespectful to those of us to think that the senior people who are serving as our executive committee would not be eligible and just disappear. That would be absolutely devastating to Northwest San Pedro and every neighborhood council that I've visited so far. going up the Harbor City Freeway. We have much more of an issue getting enough people to run, although I do know we have 5 people running for one seat. That's atypical. I'd love to remind the city council members with this idea that my son was actually elected to a regular seat, not a youth seat, and they changed the rules so you had to be 18 to stay in that seat, which I was against. I think it's fantastic. If Alonzo had some friends that wanted to run for open seats that are not having input, it'd be great to have 2 young people on this group, but somebody thought that was a good idea the last time. Now they're trying to solve another problem that doesn't exist, messing with the youth seats for groups. So I say leave it alone, but most importantly, do not think that this is an area that needs term limits until they start compensating us, or there's some big prize to this that everybody in the community wants. I think it's a ridiculous idea.
Here.
Yep.
I need a second too. I'll move
Second.
it. But
Second. I want
okay,
the record
Thomas.
for second it. Yes. And thirding it. And fourthing
Okay, so any more discussion?
Angela. Microphone, please.
Oh, sorry.
I think there's a word missing in the letter. We've had a UC for over 20 years and actively involved. Is the UC actively involved, or are we?
What now? Where?
Okay. The paragraph, second from the bottom, the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council has had UC for over 20 years and actively involved in representing our youth population. Should there be an is before actively, or am I misreading the sentence?
What is the intent of that?
20 years and
Read the
I think not is that. I think the intent was when I wrote this is 20 years and actively involved, that we are actively involved with the youth population, to let them know that we are actively involved with the youth population. Is there?
Okay, so say and have been.
And are
actively involved?
Yeah.
Okay.
Representing our youth population.
I think we can call it a grammatical correction as
Okay.
opposed to a content change.
I'll just, if it's okay, I'll just write that in there and fix it.
Yeah, that's fine.
One for this summer.
So,
Anybody?
thank you, Angela. I just
Questions, comments?
Actually, it should be is because
So-
the council is a singular.
Huh?
It should be is, not are, because council is singular.
Where?
Is actively involved.
Yep. Is actively. And is actively involved?
Because the neighborhood council is a singular entity.
Oh, okay. Alrighty.
It is, yeah.
All right.
Alrighty. Call for the vote. Thomas.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
John Barbera.
Aye.
Victor.
Aye.
Gail.
Aye.
And April.
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly.
Yes.
And Angela.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Alonzo.
100% yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Yay. 12-0.
All right, the motion carries. So we will move on to agenda item number 8, which is the president's meeting with the port. Thomas, is there anything to
After being dark about 3 months and not having a report, I have a little longer report tonight. It was a very packed meeting, but they've moved the time to Thursday morning at 9 a.m., so I missed the last 10 minutes of this report. But in the 50 minutes I attended, air quality monitoring update, they presented great slides showing improvements in our air quality. We had a negative direction right after the pandemic, but things are trending well. We got an update on the Vincent Thomas Bridge deck replacement project, which if you haven't heard, there's other construction the port and the city are trying to do. So Axel and Tim McCosker's office is working very strongly with the port to make sure if we have to delay our city project and the costs go up, that the state would make us whole for that, because otherwise there are 2 projects scheduled to go on at the same time. It would be bad. One I want you to share with your friends, your nonprofits, that was probably most timely is the Community Investment Grant Program was described. Cecilia Moreno did a wonderful job. If people want more information, I have a PowerPoint deck I can share with you, but here are the highlights. This is a program where the port has given 32, let's see, awarded to date, they've given $12.6 million to date to community organizations, 374 grants. Last year, they received, total they received 684 applications asking for twice that amount. Last year, They received 74 applications, of which 40 received funds. Those are pretty good odds. If you can create a nexus, and that's a good patented legal term, a nexus to the port or the tidelands, I think there's a very high percentage chance your application will get approved, so long as you're not asking to pay for salary. There's some city requirements the same that Melanie or people in the exec would be aware of. You also have to pay attention to. But it's really a great program. So anybody listening in the community that doesn't know about this, so there's maybe 2 of you, March 24th by 4 p.m. Not 5 p.m., but 4 p.m. you have to get that application in. It'll be reviewed mid to late April, notifications by June. So if people are interested in that, I've encouraged 3 nonprofits I know that haven't been awardees. Last year, a Cal State student group was a recipient, so I've seen this work and seen them do good. That was a Latino Business Student Association that was awarded. There's an update on Phillips 66. We've talked a lot about that, so I won't belabor that. And anything else that might be of interest, a little bit of update on the PIP. Some interesting news there where the city council, our council members looking to get more involved in how the big money, the infrastructure grants are being allocated. More to report on that, I think, next month. So it was a little bit longer than normal, but I especially wanted to get the word out for new folks about those community grants. So if you haven't applied or hadn't heard of them, please contact me or the port for more information. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And we are moving on to committee reports, agenda item 9. We do not have Lori or Ray with an election update. Is there anybody else on bylaws and elections who can speak to? No. I guess just informationally, there is still time to request, receive, and return your paper ballot if you have not done so already.
I don't think requesting it. You can. It's all done.
Okay.
That's done. There's still time to send it in.
Okay, so I guess if you have one and you haven't sent it in, you can do that. I actually got an email because I forgot to sign the back of mine, and they sent me a PDF, which I signed in return. So the people running election are on top of these things more so than myself, so that's good. All right, so let's, speaking of people who aren't here, I don't believe we had a separate executive committee report. All the stuff that we worked on went into the consent calendar, I believe. So we will move on to Budget and Finance, 9C.
No, nothing, and no. Just April 7th, if you want to come, we'll be going through the
NPGs.
Purpose grants, and anybody's able to come and look through them and discuss and allocate.
Excellent.
Make recommendations.
That's open to all stakeholders?
Huh?
You said that's open to all of us on the board? Okay.
Yeah, we welcome anybody to come. More eyes, more hands. In public safety, I do have something to go over with everybody.
Sure. Public safety.
So turn to the report is on page 24, and then after that's a little slide presentation.
Street racing.
So this is what Officer Vallone was talking about the street racing task force. I went to the town hall, and so I took screenshots kind of the presentation that was up there. So basically, like these little pictures here are what they have on their cars. These are like little tags that you can kind of look at them and you can tell that they're part of this street racing takeover type stuff. If they have any of these little like logos on their cars, they're little sideshow logos that they have on them. But one of the things that they talked about was what they are doing is the task force is combined of sheriffs, LAPD, port police, and what they've done is they've gotten like fake accounts, and they're like, they'll post pictures on Instagram, somebody will say, of the photos of what they did, like and videos of them like in the middle of Channel and Gappy doing what they did. And what they'll do is tag, hey, Johnny, your car was hot in the middle of that circle. You almost set that car down. And they'll have their little tags. They'll be tagging them. So the officers are watching all of this, and their fake accounts are following all of these tags that they get on social media and creating a way that then they can follow a lot of these accounts and know when they're doing their meetups to get there and stop it before it actually happens, before it's a big deal. I happened to be at the one at Channel and Gaffey when it was going on, as well as 3 weeks later at one in downtown LA, like right there. So unfortunately, I experienced within 3 weeks 2 of them. And I happened to get pictures from the events where I was at both of them. And so I mentioned at the town hall that I had them. And they're like, really? And I go, yeah. And they go, did you do anything with them? And I'm like, no, I've got them on my phone. So on the back page of this, they said that anybody that's caught like that in a street show, sideshow with like the motorbikes, the little mini like tiny bikes and the 4-wheelers and the cars and all that, if you can safely get pictures or video, do it.
I'm sorry.
And the top address that's at the top on that last page, on page 34, the ctdsrt@lapd.online, send them to them, because my pictures had faces. And so they were able to identify a few of those people. And so, and that, they want more of that, because that's how they crack down to identify some of these people that are doing this. But do not put yourself at risk. One of the things I saw at Channel and Gaffey, this was another thing, is this guy got out of his car and he got in a confrontation with one of them because he was trying to go over to John Gibson and leave, and they were blocking him to go. Do not ever get out of your car and try and confront these people or argue with them or have a confrontation with them. There's been guns, there's been weapons before used there at some of these. Not necessarily this one, but there was a confrontation. He was hit in his car. Don't ever get out of your car. Just wait for it to die down and then leave when you have an opportunity. But never lock your doors, stay in your car. And that was one big thing that they tried to send a message about that to everybody, because these guys are not nice, and a lot of them don't care. And so you don't want to put your life at risk or get really badly hurt. The other thing was for public safety, where Phillips 66 came to our meeting too. And one of the things that they were talking about is what we input that we would like to see in the places that it was like if it were commercial, is to maybe have a Costco so we don't have to go all the way to Torrance. Maybe a mini golf type thing or a Dave & Buster's type thing up there to give kids something to do. Something, entertainment for the family, to not have to go to Torrance for everything. Maybe a couple restaurants that we have to go all the way to Torrance for, to have something here that's a little, and not just another fast food place. Something that's a little bit more eatable than just burgers and fries or whatever. So those were a couple of the things that we talked about.
Very good. Do we have any questions or comments for public safety or budget and finance?
Just a quick comment on Melanie's last statement. So I've been to 2 meetings with that group, and Top Golf came up, which kind of relates to the mini golf idea you had. Batting cages, they don't want to replicate what's across the way with baseball fields, but batting cages came up. Wilmington and Harbor City is very interested in a grocery store, so a Costco grocery store kind of fits with that. And then, the interest in restaurants, and something to do. It's really quite a lot of space. So I just thought this would be an appropriate time in the minutes to react to your report, and glad that they're getting out. I've been feeling good about how how many people I found that have met with the Field of 66 folks, and it turns out one of them was one of my students, so full disclosure there. I'd forgotten her, but she remembered me. But I think they're trying to do a pretty good job of getting lots of ideas. So for those who have ideas, please share them. They seem genuinely interested in trying to figure out what we want, and then it's our job to make sure that it's safe what they want to do.
Well, the other thing that was brought up, that I brought up, was that, 5 points, once they start putting stuff in there, 5 points, the configuration that it's in is not going to be okay. It's going to be a disaster. And I said, what about doing a roundabout?
Oh, you and Jason Herring, yeah. You and Jason Herring, yeah. Jason brought that up, and nobody I've been in a meeting likes roundabouts for some reason, so they laugh when they hear that. But yeah, please keep bringing it up if you like roundabouts. And if you're anti-roundabouts, let them know that too. But there was definitely consensus that they need to fix that intersection.
Yeah, they're going to have to do something for traffic
better than
flow.
it used to be. They've got it timed better than it used to be. There used to
Yep.
be a lot more accidents there. It's a lot better than it used to be.
Well, I think you bring up a good point in terms of, possible commercial use or whatever. It's something I've thought about on several occasions driving around in the Harbor or South LA area. And, my understanding is that San Pedro has about 80,000 people or so. Gardena only has is just under 60,000. Carson's got a little bit more than 90. And I realized as I drive through those communities, like the variety of businesses and the things that they have, it's like, why do they have a bunch? If you go to Torrance or Gardena, they have tons of restaurants and literally one of everything and two of a lot of them. And I'm thinking, well, why do we have a few fast food places, a few nicer places? So if there is commercial real estate potential, something to be developed, and obviously every time, Marie Callender's or whatever gets a facelift, people chime in with what they'd like to see there. But if we think, beyond, dinner time or whatever, it does seem like there's, just from the sheer scale of the property, that there's an opportunity to kind of, put San Pedro on the map in a different way than it is already, and attract people to this area for the things that, like you were saying, I drive to Torrance or Gardena or Carson for certain things, and they could very easily be right there on North Caffey. So.
Yeah.
Or now, I don't know how about easily, but they could be there.
Alonzo?
Speaking on Phillips 99, how do we give feedback to them?
What?
How do we give feedback to them as to what we want to see?
Between public safety or planning and land use committee?
Okay, thank you.
Or say it right now, and we'll send them the minutes.
Or first Thursday.
Yeah, first Thursday.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I've said this before, I'll say it again. Something where we can keep Smiling Jack and possibly have events every year, maybe behind whatever is built there because it's up on the hill. You could still have events there like with the caramel corn and stuff like that, like they've had there in the, for years and years and years. And that has put us on the map.
Yeah. And they did.
And I'd like to keep us on the map for that part of it. So I would like to see whatever put there is built in a way where we can still use Smiling Jack for the annual Halloween event.
Heinrich, the manager, the bigwig, was at our did he come to your planning and land use? Or he came to public safety, and he said that that's one of the things that they're absolutely looking at is leaving Smiling Jack to build around it.
Yeah, both meetings I went to, I heard the same thing, and they won't be able to give but they mentioned they probably can't bring the caramel corn once they close down operations, so we can't count on the caramel corn, but yeah, that seems like that's a beloved thing. One other thing on that they shared was, this is kind of a planning and land use application, trying to make sure that we can get onto the highway easier, like Harry Bridges. I didn't quite understand. I haven't driven here enough as some of you, but they had some pretty good ideas, not only at the intersection, but trying to use some of the space to build tunnels or really work to improve access to San Pedro and into that area. So I was surprised because these are not inexpensive projects, but keep in mind there is going to be an industrial piece that they are hoping to get some money off of. They'll still be owning the land, and that also kind of speaks favorably to restaurants, right? If you already have existing people working there, that would be a convenient place. They kind of have a natural base, customers that need to eat.
That's a good point.
Doesn't their land go right up against where the freeway is, too?
Right.
There? So they could easily do a new exit there, right?
Mm-hmm. And they're meeting with the port about that.
Does it go right up to it? Because I know there are some residential houses right there.
They thought they could. They were exploring with
At
the port.
least on the side of Anaheim. Now, maybe back behind those houses, there is other land that goes up to it. But
They didn't talk about both ways, but I think they thought they had right away to do one connection if
okay.
it made sense.
I mean, I agree. If you can connect it that way, that'd be good. But I just didn't think there was a way to do it.
Question. Thomas, has there been any discussions or ideas around job creation other than retail?
Yes, there is. Diana's left, so there's a workforce board that I got introduced to after my last meeting. My last meeting was at Siren, so I went over to the chamber, and there's a specific workforce board group, a guy named Tamer, who's in there, who they're working with. They're very, very concerned about the people losing their jobs. I've offered to help from a Dominguez Hills perspective with an HR class to do resume review or mock interviews. They want the help, and they've taken my information, want to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
But they feel they're in pretty good hands. They're already sharing information for the non-technical jobs like the assistants. The challenge they're finding is they paid so well and had such good benefits that people who administrative roles, the next best job in this area is maybe 25,000 less. So these people are looking to go to Texas, so they've got I think they're being really good corporate citizens and helping them look for jobs wherever they want, which seems in some cases to be Texas or other areas outside the community, which to me is a concern. We'd love to keep people in the community, but if people can make a lot more working for an oil company somewhere else, we've got to understand that. So, but there will be opportunities, and we've encouraged you to join our.
Yes.
So please come to the next meeting. I think we'll all have an opportunity to help with that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, so close to the mic. Just more so the next generation for San Pedro and workforce. So there's obviously the short-term scenario with displacement and relocation, but what the next San Pedro look like as my daughters grow up, etc.
All right. Do we have any other questions, comments for public safety?
No.
All right. Moving on to youth and outreach. Don't worry about the minutes because they're not in there. We are in brainstorming, planning for second, third quarter events, some of which we are familiar with. That is, we're anticipating Candy Cane Lane and our holiday stuff at the end of the year, but thinking about back to school and other fall events. So we're always, movie in the park related things. So if you have any suggestions, we're kind of floating the idea of a theme evening where there would be a movie, not necessarily just for kids, that also involves some other kind of activity. So we're just kind of blue skying it right now. And then the other conversation was about, again, this aforementioned public safety traffic video series. They're trying to get some commentary from possibly LAPD Harbor Station, from council member's office, and LAFD. Just based on observations of some behavior behind the wheel in the neighborhoods in San Pedro, just maybe a tap on the shoulder for the community. So if you are familiar with any particular problem areas that might not be the more obvious ones in your neighborhood, you can drop us a line.
The signs too that are coming.
And there we're
helping me design
thinking of a kind of an integrated campaign, essentially, that has art for signs, things, graphics that we can use online and everything. So we're kind of trying to put a whole package together.
Yeah, because we have money allocated for public safety for the signs.
Okay, that's good to know.
And so Kane's helping me come up with the graphics for it to get them printed.
Good, and we do have access to Canva, as Taviana mentioned. So it's a great way to go from zero to just about done, unless you're real particular on your design and want to draw it yourself. That's a good way to just get the point across. Do we have a community issues report?
Yeah, didn't bring one, but we just basically talked about a few things about the bridge and this and that. But one of the things that we were also doing about the updating the liquor license at Target. And what happened, I just got word of it through Christina, who was checked out on it. Apparently nobody knows about it. As a matter of fact, had a conversation with the manager over here at Target. He didn't know anything about it, and he doesn't want it to happen.
The sign's up on the wall of their door, though.
He says he don't want it to happen.
Well, it's not the same thing as not doing it.
I know, I understand. So, but there was talk. She had found out and talked about which she's going to make a call and talk to one of the head people over in Target in corporate. They turned her on to a name, so we're going to see. We still got a little bit to inserts, but there is nothing. There is no paperwork. I'm working with Axel on this, and he said there is nothing, no paperwork for the city here or nothing.
Because we got the notices. Everybody in our neighborhood, 500 feet of Target, all along there, got the notices for them for the state liquor license, and that they want to do sampling and sell hard liquor.
Right, but that's
And
just,
they can't even manage their store for the wine and beer that they have to keep everything cleaned up, and the people out from in front of the store, and also the homeless sleeping in the parking lot and all that. They can't keep that up. And part of your liquor license is you aren't allowed any of that. You have to do all that and police your parking lot. And they don't.
No.
And
they
that
don't
was
have-
part of their, for their regulations to get their beer and wine. Those were the requirements for their beer and wine license, and they agreed to all of those when Diana went to the hearing
Yeah.
for them.
I think I remember when we discussed
Yeah.
what happened.
But as of right now, there's nothing in the city. They have not done anything for.
Do you think
if
maybe
it's
they're
that-
doing a back door through the state?
Well,
That they're
that's
trying
what
to
we
get it
need
through the back door for the
That's what we
state?
need to find out. and why
Well,
we're
it would
not-
have to be both, because I know there's taxes and stuff like that. You can't just
Yeah.
Right,
so.
but at the state, don't you, once you get it from the state, you have to give it the city to approve it, right?
Need a lawyer to answer that
Yeah.
one probably.
Right now, we were unable to contact ABC license, and they're not returning phone calls or anything. Adrian's been trying to call them, and but the problem is like Axel and I were talking. There was never any mention because he went through all the paperwork, and he says, "I don't see nothing from the state," is what he was saying. So this could be something that maybe they're doing, checking.
I don't
But
know.
there's
Because
no-
when I went into Target to go get my mom's stuff for her, I saw they have a notice on their door. There's a notice for it, a big notice on their door that they've applied.
Well, we're going to keep digging, and that's what we'll keep doing.
Yeah.
Really?
Very good.
What
All
about
right.
the person who made the proposal? Have you talked to them?
What?
The person who made the proposal.
Well, yeah, Target.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think it's
Directly.
especially that they're not sure exactly where it's coming
You're
from.
not.
Obviously, the store manager wouldn't be the start of that,
Mhm.
and it's probable that whoever manages that region might be doing things that the staff on site don't know about.
Right, and that's
So-
what we're thinking. Because, like I said, she had a conversation with him, and he was unaware of it. As a matter of fact,
I wouldn't be real surprised if it worked that way, because why would you bother the store manager with that? Anyway?
Yeah.
Was it Christina that did?
No, Christine.
Oh, did you talk to Kevin?
Yeah.
That's weird.
And he's referring me to somebody else.
Was he evasive?
No, he was fantastic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So, do we have a report from? Oh, we already had motions from planning and land use support. Anything else to add from?
One thing that might be interesting to some folks, at the April meeting about the North Gaffey Greenbelt, in addition to the pathway from Gatun to Channel, there will be landscaping, lighting, and security cameras there that are monitored by the Port Police. So people might be excited because if you weren't aware, this month of March 2025, you're going to see the area shut down, and there's great concern, as we think we heard at the last meeting, about the safety. It's not going to be scheduled to be reopened until June of 2026. So it's good to know that there's security cameras monitored by the Port Police, to work on the path that's going to go through the west side of the park and ride lot, ending at Channel. So, and then the committee appreciates everybody for their attention and votes on the matters. But I didn't mention the cameras before, so if people hadn't heard that might make you feel a little bit better about the safety. I've heard prior to my really being involved in this area that when that area is not monitored, it can be quite an unsafe, unpleasant area.
So they're going to make that whole section down Gaffey, and it cuts across into the park. They're still going to fix it.
Yep, yeah.
Redo it, repave it.
It looks like we got the permit. It just means it's going to be closed for about a year, right? And people are concerned about what type of folks will be in there when it's not, not available as it is
Well,
currently.
is it going to affect the skate park?
Yes.
and nobody will be able, the skaters won't be able to use the.
I don't know about that. You go ahead.
They have told us they will leave us access to the skate park, but they haven't told us where exactly. They're taking over the entire parking lot to lay down, but the entrance of the skate park is in the parking lot. So we're in contact with Axel. We're still not sure. We're still not getting a lot of answers. They're pretty much said they're not repaving the parking lot, but they want to restripe the gravel. It's just, it's pitted. It's pitted.
Oh, God.
I provided them with the data, and we had it professionally striped out of our own pocket. And it didn't stay. That was written in the contract between the city of Los Angeles to restripe it. Anyways, it didn't stay longer than like a few months.
Yeah,
so
you
they
restripe
don't-
gravel, it's just gonna all like turn up and
But we already did the restriping professionally, and
yeah,
like
that lasted like what, a couple of months.
like maybe 5-6 months.
Oh, Jesus.
So we tried to explain that to them, and they're just like, "Well, that's Caltrans. In Caltrans' hands, we have to I don't know." So,
Well, I thought the program was that they were going to. The program was they were going to continue from on Gaffey, where they've got all that walkway and the benches and all of that. Continue that all the way through there with the same, paving and everything and making it look good. Well, why would you not want to pay?
They have the money for the pedestrians, but not the parking lot. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. If you're going to go through it and break it up, you're going to make this beautiful land and then have all that broken on it.
I don't know, maybe they think we'll all just ride bikes and skateboard from now on.
it sounded like they didn't really know either, though. We've been in many meetings, Zoom meetings, in-person meetings, and it's pretty up in the air still. But I heard it's supposed to shut down in the next couple of weeks. Or this month, I think. Did you say
it's
March? Yeah.
It could be any day now. Could have
And
started
we still
yesterday.
don't know where our access point is going
So
to
you
be.
might not have access to the skate park then.
Well, they said we won't lose access. We just don't know. We have 3 points of access inside the skate park, but we don't know where that will be yet. And I'm like, we need a map so we can map it out for our community who goes down there every day.
Yeah.
And it would be nice for the people who park there to know what day it's going to be, because they're going to be late to work. Like our pizza provider or others, really use that space. So, again, this is why I think it's important for us to speak out and let our state officials, our assembly people and senators know this is not going well, right? This is Caltrans's fault, and we're just asking them to communicate and treat us with a little bit more respect.
There seems to be like a fairly predictable pattern where when you have something happening locally or regionally, and then it takes that big step up to the state level, it just kind of goes into this cloud layer where clearly they don't feel like they need to answer us, or
especially Caltrans.
Like when you hear a shovel hit the ground, that's how you know they're doing it. But until then, you get no warning.
But Caltrans seems to have like this communication like blackout, where they just don't feel like they need to tell our councilmen anything, the state assembly people anything.
They probably
they get to operate individually on their own and tell us if they feel like it.
I think that though it makes sense that that's probably the way it's set up. Like if they don't have to, they've got an entire state to worry about. So we have to be a little bit more of a nuisance.
Vic's trying to be recognized.
Oh, Victor?
What area is going to be shut down once it starts?
The parking lot. They're going
Just the lot?
Yep.
Okay. I was just thinking if it's any significant involvement with street, and somebody did I hear right that it could be for a year?
Yes, it is planned to be for more than a year, March to June. So that's a year and some months.
Okay, I was just wondering about the end time relative to when the bridge work starts, because if it runs into that along with everything else, that could be an issue. But if it's only the parking lot, then maybe not so much.
Yeah, but you're going to have trucks and stuff in and out of there,
Well, yeah,
Caltrans.
but I mean, it's
Caltrans. The
My
bridge is going to
my
be
point
16.
is the street itself
To fix everything.
shouldn't be blocked off.
It seems like it's possible that everything will be shut down when the bridge is done, right? You got there's Western Project, there's Anaheim. This is slow, so I don't know. But we're getting pretty informal here. I'll stop talking.
Okay. Do we have a report from Environment and Sustainability? Obviously, Gwen is not here this evening.
No.
Spare thought for Gwen. She's taking care of her mom, who's having a rough time, but she's doing the big work. Victor, does anything related to the Science Center?
Nothing, no.
Okie doke. And do we have any reports from any of our liaisons?
I can just a couple things. So the capacity of the shelter is full, but not double full, which is what it has been for a long time. And there's a couple adoption events coming up. Right now, there's still a kitten shower, which means there's no fees to adopt a kitten. And then this weekend, there's the St. Patty's Day adoption event where they have reduced fees for adopting dogs and cats. And for anyone who's new to the council or running for council, I have sort of taken over as the animal shelter liaison as my daughter, who previously was in that role, left for college. So if anybody is interested in becoming an animal shelter liaison who could probably do a much better job than I have time to dedicate to it right now, come see me and I will talk to you more about that.
That lady right there.
I think you've been nominated.
No. Christina Calandra. She works with animal shelters, and she's a...
Yeah, she does.
See? That's just good governance right there.
You couldn't get any better than that.
Well, the problem is I can't see close up with my glasses on, and I can't see far away with them off. So I could see you pointing, but I know.
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have run out of agenda, and
does that mean?
Unless there are any objections, I will call to adjourn. Thank you very much. This was a good meeting. Ray's going to be jealous that I got an easy one. We got work done. It was peaceful. There's pizza left over.
And just for the record, adjourned at 8:08 p.m.
That's almost a record.
Maybe it was just brilliant management. There were a lot of resolutions we voted on, so
I managed not to mess it up. Yes.
Chris sneak dissing.
Why did you wish that on me?
Chris, why are we sneak dissing?
Yeah, I've seen what happens to people who are in charge.